Let's dive right into this explainer and look at how the iPad morphed from what a lot of people originally mocked as just an oversized phone into a legitimate desktop-class powerhouse over the last 16 years. If you've been watching Apple try to bridge that seemingly impossible gap between the smartphone in your pocket and the laptop on your desk, you're in exactly the right place.
This one central question has honestly haunted and driven the iPad since Steve Jobs first unveiled it to a super skeptical public back in January of 2010. Critics at the time immediately asked, why do I even need this? And it was a totally fair question. The iPhone was getting way more capable and MacBooks were getting lighter. So where on earth did this giant slab of glass actually fit in?
To figure out how it found its true identity, we're going to chart this evolution across 5 distinct eras. Just a big iPhone, shrinking and refining, the Pro revolution, desktop power in tablet form, and finally, the laptop alternative.
Era number 1, just a big iPhone, the 2010 Genesis.
When that original 9.7-inch iPad dropped with its custom A4 chip, it lacked a ton of what we consider basic essentials today. No camera, no multitasking, just a scaled-up version of the iPhone's mobile operating system. That's exactly why tech pundits dismissed it as literally just an oversized iPhone. But underneath that simple exterior, Apple was quietly establishing a totally new market for leaning back, reading, browsing, and casual gaming. And they iterated fast. By 2011, the iPad 2 brought us front and rear cameras for FaceTime and shaved off a massive 33% of its thickness. Then in 2012, the third-gen iPad completely changed the game by quadrupling the pixel count overnight with the stunning Retina display. Suddenly, text was crisp and photos looked incredibly lifelike.
And despite all that initial skepticism, the numbers were just staggering. Apple moved over 300,000 iPads on launch day alone. By May of that year, they hit 1 million. It proved, without a doubt, that there was a massive consumer appetite for a device sitting perfectly right between a phone and a Mac. People just wanted to consume content without a keyboard getting in the way.
Which brings us to our second era, shrinking and refining, the diversification era.
By late 2012, Apple realized a one-size-fits-all strategy just wasn't going to cut it anymore. People were using these things in wildly different ways, so they kicked off an era of aggressive diversification. They split the line. We got the 7.9-inch iPad mini, an ultra-portable dream for reading and travel that was incredibly light. And then, a year later, the ridiculously thin iPad Air arrived, bringing a 64-bit desktop-class A7 chip to a tablet for the very first time. You finally had a distinct choice between extreme portability and refined power.
This era was really all about crucial quality-of-life upgrades. Laminated anti-glare screens fundamentally changed things. You could actually use the iPad outdoors without fighting crazy reflections. Throw in Touch ID for biometric security, plus robust 4G LTE support, and the iPad evolved into a truly secure, standalone mobile computer. You could work at a cafe or a park without constantly hunting for Wi-Fi.
Phase 3, the Pro revolution, a tool for creatives.
In 2015, the iPad went through its most dramatic shift yet. It graduated from a casual couch device to a serious, high-performance tool tailored specifically for creative professionals. The massive 12.9-inch iPad Pro changed everything. It brought us the smart keyboard, turning it into a workstation. But more importantly, it gave us the Apple Pencil. Now sure, that first-gen pencil charged awkwardly, sticking straight out of the lightning port like a spike. But the ultra-low latency and pressure sensitivity completely revolutionized digital art.
But the real game-changer for creatives dropped in 2017 with this one wild stat: 120 Hz. The second-gen Pro introduced promotion displays. If you haven't used one, it makes drawing, or even just scrolling through a web page, feel unbelievably fluid. It completely eliminated any perceptible lag. It was just a massive leap in user experience.
By the time the 2018 third-gen Pro arrived, Apple had entirely shattered the old paradigm. Goodbye iconic physical home button, hello sleek edge-to-edge design. Touch ID was swapped out for Face ID, and crucially, they ditched the Lightning port for a versatile USB-C port. That alone allowed professionals to finally hook up external cameras, drives, and monitors, setting the modern standard for every iPad that followed.
Section 4. Desktop power, tablet form. The M-chip era.
After totally conquering mobile architecture, Apple's next move was incredibly ambitious. They decided to inject the iPad with the exact same silicon brains running their full-fledged MacBooks. In 2021, they dropped in the M1 chip, completely obliterating rival tablets in raw performance.
But raw power wasn't enough. They bridged their ecosystems, letting your iPad act as a wireless Mac display with Sidecar and used universal control to let you drag and drop files seamlessly between devices. Eventually, the software caught up, bringing true desktop-class professional apps like Final Cut Pro and Logic Pro straight to the tablet.
This relentless push for power and refinement culminated in the 2024 M4 iPad Pro. It packed a breathtaking tandem OLED display for true blacks and incredible color accuracy. And, pretty hilariously, it became Apple's thinnest product ever manufactured, well, second only to their famous screen polishing cloth. It was a literal marvel of engineering.
Which brings us to our final section, the laptop alternative, the 2026 landscape.
We finally reached a point where the raw hardware power is matched by an operating system capable of supporting true laptop replacement workflows. With the highly anticipated release of iPadOS 26, Apple crossed the threshold. They brought in advanced macOS-style windowing, allowing apps to overlap and resize freely. They added a persistent top menu bar and completely redesigned the cursor for the Magic Keyboard. For a huge segment of power users, this was the exact moment they could realistically just leave their MacBooks at home.
So, out of the 35 different models released across 31 generations over the last 16 years, what makes sense for you right now? Here's how the 2026 lineup breaks down. For students on a budget, the 11th Gen base model is perfect. Travelers have the ultra-portable iPad mini. Prosumers wanting that sweet spot of power and weight should look at the M4 iPad Air. And for creatives demanding max performance and an OLED screen, the brand new M5 iPad Pro sits right at the very top.
But Apple never really stops iterating, do they? Looking ahead to the horizon, industry rumors are heavily pointing toward a massive 18.8-inch foldable iPad dropping as early as 2028. A device like that wouldn't just blur the lines between tablet and desktop, it might erase them entirely.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought about your own daily workflows in digital life. Just look at how far this piece of glass has come since 2010. Has the iPad finally replaced your traditional computer entirely, or is it just delaying its eventual demise? It's a fascinating question, and the answer seems to shift with every single generation. Thanks for hanging out with me for this deep dive, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.